Nothing like a brand new year to finally put all of that bad stuff behind you and get ready for a fresh start, which was obviously Donald Trump's mentality when he took to Truth Social and posted, quote, "It wasn't my fault that the Republicans didn't live up to expectations in the midterms. I was 233 and 20. It was the abortion issue, poorly handled by many Republicans, especially those that firmly insisted on no exceptions, even in cases of rape, incest, or life of the mother, that lost large number of voters. Also, the people that pushed so hard for decades against abortion got their wish from the U.S. Supreme Court and just plain disappeared, not to be seen again. Plus, Mitch stupid money." So, one thing's for sure, Donald Trump's New Year's resolution definitely wasn't to stop being such a whiny little bitch. Now, clearly, Trump's sinking stock is getting to him, and that lack of confidence is owed to the fact that Trump was largely to blame for the Republicans' dismal midterm performance in a year that should have been an absolute home run for the GOP. Instead, Republicans failed to take the Senate, and their big red wave in the House was a net gain of 9 seats. But while some Republicans did manage to win, every single gubernatorial and Secretary of State candidate running in a battleground state who espoused Trump's America First agenda lost. Every single one. So when you've got a 100% loss rate for people out there cosplaying as Donald Trump, then I don't think it's a stretch to say that Trump himself is probably a very big part of why the GOP failed this past November. And of course, Trump will claim, "I was 233 and 20, which is so transparent that if I was his intended audience, I would be outright offended that someone would treat me like I was that stupid. Trump thinks that if he just endorses every Republican, even in R+50 districts, that it counts as a win for him. Like, I'm sorry, but you don't get credit for Todd Young winning in Indiana. That's like me announcing my endorsement for AOC one day and then waiting for my thank you call on November 9th. The real test for Trump, again, comes from the candidates who weren't assured victory, like the vast majority of Republicans. And as I mentioned before, those were the candidates who lost. Carrie Lake and Dr. Oz and Dan Bolduc, Tudor Dixon and Doug Mastriano and Lee Zeldin, Christina Caramo and Sarah Palin, those are the people who composed Trump's endorsement record. Not Rand Paul winning in Kentucky. But the fact that he has to buffer his record with hundreds of gimmies is a testament to the fact that he knows his record sucks and that he needs to do something to cover up the truth, which, if you're paying attention, seems to be a recurring theme when it comes to Donald Trump. But here's the most telling part. Trump is complaining here about, quote, "the abortion issue." Now, correct me if I'm wrong, because I work in politics and my brain is now a barren husk of what it once was, but I'm pretty sure that it was Donald Trump himself who nominated judges for the express purpose of outlawing abortion.
Do you believe in punishment for abortion?
There has to be some form of punishment.
For the woman?
Yeah, there has to be some form.
Appointing a Supreme Court justice that would overturn Roe v. Wade.
I will appoint judges that will be pro-life.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you want to see the court overturn Roe v. Wade?
Well, if we put another 2 or perhaps 3 justices on, that's really what's going to be, that will happen. And that'll happen automatically.
So when this guy is out here tweeting about how some Republicans went too far once Roe was overturned, remember that he came out publicly and called for punishing women who sought abortions, which is objectively the most extreme, draconian, hardline position there is when it comes to this issue. So if Trump is pissed off about the way that some Republicans handled abortion, judging by his own examples, the person who he should take it up with is Donald Trump. And let's be clear, this is Trump's narcissism on full display. Trump does something, namely nominate judges for the express purpose of overturning Roe, and when those judges do the thing that he put them there to do, then suddenly it's everyone else's fault that he did what he did. And I get that Trump thinks that accepting fault is a sign of weakness, but refusing to accept responsibility at every single turn is the sign of an egomaniacal tyrant with no concept of objective reality. But here's another way to look at this, and I hope that Republican voters are paying attention here. Think about the years that Trump spent pandering to the base by promising to nominate anti-choice judges who would overturn Roe because he purportedly believed in it. And now think about how he's blaming those exact people who he nominated for doing what he wanted them to do for his own failures this midterm cycle, meaning that he never believed in any of it. He's not pro-life, he's pro-Donald Trump. He used you and your beliefs as a vehicle for his own power. And the moment that those beliefs became inconvenient for him, or at least a useful scapegoat for him, he dropped them like a bad habit. So the question becomes, knowing now the extent to which you've been conned by a guy who's now broadcasting the extent to which he used you, would you still support him? And the answer for some people, of course, will be yes. But I think there's probably some Republicans out there who have more respect for themselves than to support a guy who is admitting admitting in broad daylight that he used you for your vote and doesn't believe the very things that he told you to get those votes. Trump pretended to be this anti-politician. He is slimier and less authentic than the rest of them put together. And by the way, let's be real here. This isn't a surprise. Trump doesn't believe any of the things that he used to get the base's votes. Remember, here he is weaseling his way out of an interview with a religious outlet that asked him the simplest question he could be asked if he truly believed any of the things that he said to Republicans on the campaign trail.
Okay. You mentioned the Bible. You've been talking about how it's your favorite book. And you said, I think last night in Iowa, some people are surprised that you say that. I'm wondering what one or two of your most favored Bible verses are and why.
I wouldn't want to get into it because to me that's very personal. You know, when I talk about the Bible, it's very personal. So I don't want to get into verses. I don't want to get into.
There's no verse that means a lot to you that you think about or cite?
The Bible means a lot to me, but I don't want to get into specifics.
Even to cite a verse that you like?
No, I don't want to do that.
You're an Old Testament guy or a New Testament guy?
Probably equal. I think it's just an incredible. The whole Bible is an incredible. I joke. Very much so. They always hold up the Art of the Deal. I say my second favorite book of all time. But I just think the Bible is just something very special.
So, dear God, can we please stop pretending that Donald Trump ever stood for anything and that his entire career wasn't just lying to a bunch of marks to get their votes? Because I don't know how many times the guy has to broadcast that he's full of shit before his own supporters actually start to believe it. As for the bigger picture here, I think the implications are clear. Donald Trump, currently the only announced Republican candidate for 2024, doesn't exactly seem to be operating from a position of strength. If your first post of the year is whining about why you are not unilaterally to blame for the entire party's losses in the last election, you're not in a great spot. If your campaign announcement was so boring that even Fox News cut away from it, you're not in a great spot. If your first big statement since you announced was the release of a bunch of trading cards with your face sloppily photoshopped onto them, you're not in a great spot. Trump may certainly be the frontrunner for the GOP nomination, but that's not a testament to his strength, it's a testament to that party's weakness. And if they opt to yet again fall in line behind a candidate in 2024 who has proven in 2018, 2020, and 2022 that he can and will lose elections, then they shouldn't act surprised when it happens again. Before you go, if you enjoyed this video and want to see more, please make sure to subscribe to my channel. You can click the thumbnail right here on this screen. And if you want to support my work even further, the best way is to subscribe to my podcast, No Lie with Brian Tyler Cohen. There you can check out my interviews with major players in the world of politics, including President Biden, Vice President Kamala Harris, Pete Buttigieg, Elizabeth Warren, Katie Porter, Jamie Raskin, and so many more. Plus other interviews that live exclusively on the podcast. That link is also right here on this screen, or just search No Lie with Brian Tyler Cohen wherever you listen to podcasts.